Okay, I'll admit it. I cannot run. But if you guys 1v1 me in football, you guys will not be laughing, I'm telling you.
Stop the cap.
But you know who can run though? Every single member of Kansai University. Run with the Wind is an anime about running, which I was skeptical in the beginning too, because how can you make an anime mainly focused on running? But after I pressed that first episode, I became completely obsessed with it. It's one of those animes where you start at like 4 p.m., just accidentally, you maybe press play on one of the episodes, then it's like 3 a.m. and you've already watched like 90% of the anime and you're like, whoa, I need to calm down, this is way too good. And before we do start though, I would like to formally apologize for being gone so long. This wasn't of, oh, I need a break after the video, because I mean, that was a 1 hour video. I low-key should have taken a break. But it was mainly because of college, because I don't know what it is with professors and the month November that obsesses with putting every single assignment on November. So they have been after my throats. So I've barely had any time to actually do anything that I like, specifically like making a video, since it's a long process. And all of this stress has made my hair not even turn gray, but rather it's turned my hair purple for some reason. I'm not joking. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll probably put a video up here. It's not like I like spray painted it by myself. This is like actual dye. So my hair, yes, is purple. I hope you guys do like the look though. I kind of love it, low-key. And I've also been thinking of ways I can kind of create more variety on this channel, like stick to the same genre but just different more types of content. But regardless, you guys are not here and to listen to me yap. You guys want to know how an anime about running is interesting, so let's get straight to it. So the anime released in 2018, consisting of 23 episodes, and every single episode was amazing. I personally really love the show. It definitely falls on my top 5 of all time.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
There's so many things that I genuinely liked about the show that I didn't know where to start from. The characters were phenomenal, even though if Kakeru kind of looks like a Kageyama from Haikyuu for some reason. I genuinely need a DNA test between them, because there's too many similarities, to be honest. Because what do you mean you guys are both the talented ace in your team? You both look the same. You guys both play for somewhat of a poor school, and you find a teammate that admires and looks up to you. What is going on, guys? The similarities are too much to be skipped upon. But like I said, their characters each have so much variety between themselves, each one having their own different development, having different backgrounds, and having different strengths and flaws. And that's all concluded between these 10 people living together, where you feel this bond tighten throughout the show, even though these guys are completely different from each other. But they all come together to put their focus on one goal, putting all their strengths to it and moving on from the past. I could not stop watching this show. Each episode had me focused from beginning to end, and it doesn't help that the outros would always be left on a cliffhanger, craving me for even more. You guys can clearly see how much I love the show, but honestly, let's kind of skip the glazing for now, because you guys probably have no clue what the show even is about yet, so let's actually talk about the show. In a quick spoiler-free summarization, the show is about 9 guys that live under the same roof that all go to Kansai University. And after the 10th member joins the house, the leader gathers them all up and tells them that they are going to run the Hakone Ekiden, which is the most biggest and prestigious running event in college, involving some of the best schools from the country. And although majority of them disagree, the leader then pulls off this kind of plot twist that the house that they've been living under for free is actually the running club's house. So if they want to stay in the house for free, they're gonna have to run. 3 of these members come from a running past, while 7 of them have no experience with running. So we kind of witness this underdog story of this team trying to qualify and race for the Hakone Ekiden. And I think that's a pretty good quick description of the show. If that does interest you, I would suggest clicking off of this video, because probably I'm going to start spoiling it after this. Go ahead and watch it, and if you do like it, you guys can come back and have my opinion on it. And sure, everyone loves watching the underdogs win. I think it's almost human nature at this point. But There's so much more to the show than just qualifying for the Hakone Akiden. We see how these 10 members, well, technically 9, who disbelieved and were disinterested in the Hakone Akiden at all become vital and core parts of the group. We see them bond and get closer to each other while also falling in love with the sport, with the main idea that they're running not just for the Hakone Akiden, but using it as a way to escape, which we'll touch on to later. All these members are different, as 3 of them are seniors, 2 of them are juniors, 2 of them are sophomores, and 3 of them are freshmen. So for example, we see our main character Kakeru kind of settle down to this college life after coming from such traumatizing high school past, and on the other side of the spectrum we see King, who is about to graduate and become a member of society and is kind of struggling to find a job. But all of them come to do one thing together, and that is to run. The anime shows that the characters use running as more than just trying to become faster, but we see how some of them use it as an escape from reality, where this idea of just running with no expectation kind of eases them. Others use it as a way to fix their bad habits and become better physically. For example, Akihiro, who used to be a smoke addict but used running as a way to quit smoking but also be able to lose weight. And some of them just do it for the love of the game. Huge example being Takashi and somewhat of the twins, but they kind of do it more so because of all the girls they're gonna see in the Hakone Akiden if they do qualify. So I'll give them like a half pass.
Just beyond the horizon, there lies an immeasurable number of ladies waiting for you. I'm so very glad we became college students.
Like I said, each character has a different problem, a different story. Yet the show perfectly manages to execute all of these timelines and gives us a resolution to all of them. And the Hakone Akiden arc was just beautiful throughout. I liked how they managed to take a sport like running and give such a more powerful meaning to it and make it intense at the same time. They truly showed what running is about, both emotionally and physically, which I honestly think is very hard to represent because it's not something that's easy to convey, but yet they have managed to do it perfectly. And the best part honestly for me was the fact that although we do have a main character, which is Kakeru, all the other 9 members that are supposedly the side characters do not feel like side characters at all. To me, all of them feel like their own main characters, and respectively to me they are all main characters, as they're all kind of resonated with a part of me. And since we're talking about them, let's actually start breaking down these characters so you get a clear example of what I'm talking about. Now our first member is our main character, which is Kakeru, and we're immediately introduced by how fast he is as he robs a convenience store, just solely based off the fact that he knows the shopkeeper won't be able to catch up with him. But at the same time, Takashi manages to see him while riding his bike, and witnessing his amazing form of running, Takashi speeds up to Kakeru and asks him the main question of the whole anime.
Hey! Do you enjoy running? Do you enjoy running?
Kakeru is obviously bewildered of what kind of question that is, and Kakeru is confused, I'd say, but Takashi promises he won't snitch, so he wants him to stop and talk to him. And Takashi presents an opportunity to Kakeru that he should join the running team, but obviously Kakeru declines, which we'll get on to why later. But Takashi then convinces him to at least come over to the house, which Kakeru does accept, and that's where we see the house and all the other 8 members. Since Kakeru does not have a place to live, he then moves into the house with the other 9 members. And that's where it all began. Now I did just tell you that Kakeru has really good form while running and he's really fast. So the question is, why did he not join a power school that has a strong history of running? And that's mainly because of his high school past, where he was so good in his high school team that the coach would scold his teammates for not being as good as him, which created this very toxic bond between him and his teammates. And we also saw how horrible the coach was, as he kind of treated the members like trash, always torturing them with extra laps and giving them no break or recovery. We clearly see that as he dismisses a scholarship student because he pushed himself too hard on the track, which caused him to break his leg. Kakeru, who witnessed all of this, couldn't hold back anymore and let his anger run out. So he ended up assaulting the coach. So the school made him drop the team, and ever since then, Kakeru has kind of fallen out of love with the sport, and it became something that's more of, oh, I have to do this, rather than I love to do this. We see this very, very arrogant character in the beginning who only thinks about himself and is also very direct to you. If he thinks you're bad at running, he will immediately tell you that you're bad at running. Throughout the show, we do see he slowly starts to open up to his teammates and starts actually caring about them, because he realized this team was more than just his teammates, but rather they became close to family for him. We especially see that in the beginning, as he would immediately go off and start practice alone without giving a single care about the rest of his teammates and what their pace is, to then help stay behind the pack of everyone to witness their forms and to help the slower ones become faster. For example, Prince. He finds his love for running again and takes over as the club leader the following year. It was very satisfying to see his character development throughout the show, and I resonate him with the sense of playing a sport for such a long time. For example, I started football when I was 6, right? So sometimes reality does settle in that, I'm probably not even good enough, but rather other days think I'm probably the best. And the more you play, the more it becomes harder for you to stay in love with that sport. So I think they really properly convinced that on the show. Now let's go on to our captain, Haiji, who was the one who stopped Kakeru and convinced him to join. He is the one who started all of this. Unlike Kakeru, Haiji is a very caring person. He still loves running all the way through and was even really good, as in high school he would run alongside the future Olympian prodigy Kazuma, who himself holds Haiji at such a high regard. Haiji, since his first year of college, has been collecting members just so he can fulfill his dream of running the Hakone Ekiden. But it was not all well for Haiji, as he tore his ACL in his final year of high school, which held him back from becoming a runner. But that also created the most beautiful part of the show, where in the ending, where he almost comes to finish the Hakone Ekiden, we see him push his leg all the way through, and so both him and Kakeru witness his dream become fulfilled, but at the same time they both realize that he may not be able to run again at an event, which created this very bittersweet moment at the ending, which is also another reason why we saw Kakeru crying. We see how amazing of a leader Haiji is, as he would cook for the team, make the schedules and practices, enroll into the events, and would help everyone individually improve. But he is also a bit manipulative, because after all, he's doing all of this just so he can fulfill his own dream. And I mean, he literally threatened their housing just over the running part. But even after all that, he does care deeply for all of them. And we clearly see that as he calls every member before or during their sector of the Hakone Ekiden, just so he can remind them why they're doing it. He is also our deuteronomist of the show, and I relate to him also because I also did tear my MCL during my senior year of high school, which if I did not, I probably would have been part of a college football team. You never know, honestly. But like him, every day I try to fulfill my dream of, becoming a professional. So it does hit that feeling of what he's trying to do. Now let's go on to Yukihiko, also nicknamed as Yuki, who is our 4th year law student who has a pretty easy year and is just waiting to graduate. We're shown in the early stages of the show how much he disbelieves in the team and doesn't even believe that they'll even be able to qualify for the Hakone Ekiden. But he's been with everyone for some time now, so although he may disbelieve that the team may not qualify, he still tries just for the sake for them. We see that he's a very organized person and also a very smart person, as he does pass the bar exam on his first try, which he later uses as a way to gloat and flex on the girls at the club. And the thing is, even though he was in disbelief throughout the show, he was happy that the team got this opportunity to even participate in it. We do see that he is a decent runner as he has a lower center of gravity, and we do see that Yuki does have some history as his mother remarried and started this new family, and Yuki just couldn't settle into that, so he started becoming distant with his mother. And although they were not in good terms, we do see in the Hackney she does come out with her family to support him, which created this very sweet moment between them, as it gave this new look of optimism on his eyes that maybe he can start coming out of this shell of uncomfortability and start coming to terms again with his own mother. Yuki has always been very vigilant on his teammates, as he would always notice any habits or changes throughout them. And he would also help as he would create the strategies for the team, which shows that he may not believe in the idea of it, but why not try anyways? It's not like he has anything else to do other than go to clubs. Now let's go to Yohi, who I probably mentioned in the beginning of the video, who also goes by the nickname of King. Why King? Because he's really good at trivia questions. And we see that as he watches trivia shows on his TV and even gets the answers correct. King is a very interesting personality, as he himself is a 4th year student alongside Yuki. But unlike Yuki, who is probably going to law school after graduating, we see that King is trying to find a job so he can have something to do right after finishing college. And we also see the struggles of finding one, as he's been trying all year without having any luck. And although he's this very funny and confident guy around the members, we see that in college he's actually this very shy person and really struggles to make connections. While King was busy job hunting, he would still come to all of the running events, but we kind of see this arc where he kind of falls into this state of sadness and depression, where he's probably about to end his year off without finding a single job. Looks like things aren't going the way for him, and has kind of become afraid of what reality holds for him in the future. And the thing is, he doesn't even really want a job, it just feels like he's forced to have one just so he can fit into the societal norms. As he himself says, I don't have a job that I like. I don't actually want to work. I'm just doing it because I have to. Where we see that he's not doing it out of pleasure and excitement, but rather it's to fit into society. And that's where running kind of helps him. He realizes running is the only part of the day where he can just be himself, where he doesn't have to forcefully do something, but he can also keep running till whenever he wants. There's no obligations or societal terms forcing him to run. He's just doing it out of pure love, and that's what makes it so free for him. And the best part is, him participating in the Hackney Ekiden does help him in his job hunting, as the clientele does see that he's a very resilient and hardworking person, because running for the Hackney Ekiden is not something everyone can do. And we do get a happy ending at the end, as he does seem to have found a job and looks like he's satisfied with it. But I really liked the way King was created. I loved his character throughout the show, and I love the symbolism they gave to him about the fear of finding a job, especially in today's economy. As a college student myself, I do doubt myself on how I'm even going to find a job myself, as I myself feel like I'm not ready to move on since I've been a student my whole life. Regardless, let's move on to Akane, who, like I said, Yohi was known as the king. He is known as the prince, but not because he's as good as the king on trivia, but rather because he possesses physical attributes like a prince, where he has peach hair, peach eyes, and a very slim figure. We see that Prince is not really that physical, at most he's not at all, as he spends all of his time reading manga, and is the slowest in the group, especially with his horrid form. It makes sense. And he's the one that's kind of holding back in the group, as Kaguru in the beginning himself says that Prince should just quit the team. And the thing that pissed me the most about Prince is the fact that he used to run in practice in jeans, which just gave me this really weird ick, because I myself used to play football as a kid with jeans on, which nowadays I realize how horrible that must have felt, because nowadays if I can't play without my shorts, it's gonna affect my performance. Regardless, we see him improve mainly because of the help of Kakuru, by making him straighten his back by thinking as if there's a manga in front of him. And it was really satisfying to see the prince improve from what he once was. He is still slow, but he wasn't as slow as he was in the beginning. We see his times improve, and even in the Hackney we see him overtake some runners. Prince does talk in a more formal and dramatic tone of Japanese since he reads more literature, and one thing he hates more than running is other people criticizing others for what they like and what they do, and Kakuru did fall into that category in the beginning. He believes everything important about life comes through comic books, but regardless, he was used more as a way to show physical improvement over emotional improvement like the other characters. Now let's move on to Akihiro, who is a character I really liked. I liked watching him throughout the show because he used running as a way to improve himself. We saw that he was a huge cigar addict in the beginning of the show, but quits it to fix his stamina and rather stops the cravings by creating this weird aluminium wires statues, which do come in handy as he capitalizes off of them and helps sell them to fund the team. We do see that he's a really smart student as he does code the entire webpage for the team, and actually had prior experience of track, as in high school he used to love running, but because of his height it was really hard for him to decrease his times, and the coach told him to go into different sectors of track, but the only thing he loved was running. But because of reality, he kind of stopped running. This does show how reality the sports industry can be, as genetics do play a huge factor in the sport, as you can't be 5'3" in the NBA and expect to do good, because you are more at a disadvantage from all of your other teammates and opponents. On the other side of the spectrum, you would be really good at football compared to a 6'9" guy because you have a lower center of gravity, helping you able to make more quick and sudden movements. We see Akihiro quit his smoke addiction and be able to lose weight. We see that he uses opportunity to come back to the sport he loved, but also uses it as a way to improve himself long term. And he is very skilled at running. But honestly, I really liked Akihiro's personal journey throughout the show. And speaking about characters I did like, let's go on to talk about Takashi, who I told you in the beginning did it mostly for the love of the game. He's actually one of the few that actually believed in Haiji's opinion of running the Haikinen, because he believed on it like, why not, we're doing something good anyways. We see that he's a very pure character and is a third year student who comes from this very remote town up in the mountains, and is always there for his teammates, especially for King when he was going through his very sad arc. I loved watching how determined and dedicated he was for the sport, considering he's new to it. Seeing his progress throughout the show made me really happy, and him being sick in the actual event showed another harsh reality about sports, that is that everything can all of a sudden collapse on you, as he struggles during the main event and even passes out midway. But his determination of finishing that sector of the Haikine kept him going, and that was not only satisfying for me, but it was satisfying for his family that were watching him and everybody at the event. I'd say Takashi is a very pure example of hard work. Now let's talk about Musa. Musa was a very enjoyable character, one of my favorites. He kind of represented the international students who came abroad to learn in Japan, and he's a really kind person. There were a bunch of funny moments with him, specifically when him and Kakru were in the bath and their conversation was going somewhere. Another thing he likes doing is closing the lights and meditate in the tub, which honestly I cannot do. I feel like if I did that, my personal inner demons would come and haunt me. But Musa was really fast, as he was more so in the middle of the pack between Haiji and Akihiro, and he was even recognized by some of the fastest international runners in Japan. And he often hanged out with Takashi, who promised to show him his neighborhood later on. The thing is, I really did like Musa, but I feel like he should have had some personal arc, because all the characters I talked about had something going for them. Although Takashi didn't have much going on, he did have that arc at the end to show how determined he was. Musa didn't really have much other than being shown of what it's like being an international student living abroad, which obviously I personally relate to because I myself am an international student living abroad, but I feel like there could have been much more for him. Regardless though, he was a very enjoyable character to watch. But now let's move on to the twins. The twins were also supportive of Haiji's idea of running the Haikine, but not unlike Takashi, it was mainly because of the girls that would be in attendance. They both slept in the same room and they both were horrible at cooking. And we see them have this little romance thing going on with Hanako, which was interesting. But we see Taro, the older brother, actually think about quitting the team, mainly because he thinks Jiro, younger twin, was better at him in it and was more dedicated to him. So rather being in his way, he would rather quit and be more supportive to him. But the bond these guys have is more so of a, if the older twin doesn't do it, the younger twin won't do it, which was kind of sweet to see. They were also pretty fast and dedicated like Takashi, as they would join Takashi in their extra running sessions. They both do the same things and look the same way because I mean they are twins after all. The only way you could really tell them apart was that Taro has short yellow hair while Jiro has spiky yellow hair. And that's it for all 10 members. I hope you guys understand why I love each character so much now. And if you guys have made it this far, do mind hitting the subscribe button. It takes you 2 seconds and it really does support me throughout the journey. We are also pretty close to 200, so it would be very satisfying to see that as well. But regardless, now let's go on to the stuff that I liked and disliked about the show, which honestly I don't have much to dislike from. Like I already mentioned 1,000 times already, I really liked the characters. I loved the different storylines they had and their bond together. I also liked how supportive the neighborhood was of them and how the show made running so interesting. But to be honest though, I would have loved seeing more about what happened post Hakone Ekiden. I wanted to see their reactions of finishing it. I wanted to see what happened to Haiji's leg, as we see at the end, you know, it's completely crushed. I wanted to see what job King got and if he's satisfied with it, and I want to know which team Haiji now coaches. I also want to know why some of the sophomores and juniors quit the team the following year. Was it because they fulfilled their purpose of the running part, or do they still run in their free time? And they actually turned that small club of 10 members into an actual club. Also, some of the running scenes where they're shown together in a pack, they use CGI to animate it, and honestly looked kind of but it's not much of an expectation for me to meet regardless. But majority of my complaints are mostly what happened post Hakone Ekiden, which I don't think really are much disliked comments. I feel like my opinion is very biased though, because I love this show so much that I feel like I'm being blind to all of the red flags that may be waving at me. But that's the part where you guys come in. If you have watched the show, please let me know what are your opinions about it. Do you think I'm glazing it too much, or do you think I'm actually not glazing it enough? Which I honestly highly doubt. I feel like all I've done this video is just keep on talking about why I like it. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm sorry for being gone for so long. Hopefully I can get this video out. Winter vacation is soon though, so hopefully I have more time to record more. If you have any suggestions about what I should make or what I should watch, please leave them in the comments. If you really enjoyed the video, hit the like sub button and please subscribe. It would really help. If you think I satisfied your time and gave you the content that you were hoping to watch. And I will see you weebs later. Hopefully.
The answer is you.